What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Moderately Successful Podcast, where my co-hosts and we're just trying to figure out how people are living life on their terms, whether you're making six figures, seven, no matter what the monetary income is. Just defining success in different ways. We're trying to figure it out for ourselves. And my co-host, Chris Chan, Austin Rogers. My name is Matt Campbell. Welcome to another episode.
What up?
All right. Internal cast again. Usually we have a special guest for you guys, but unfortunately some things came up, so you just got the crew today, taking a look into the lives of where we're at, what we've been up to, and just having a good old conversation.
Hell yeah, man.
So, guys, how's the day been?
Busy.
Yeah, busy, you know.
I feel like things have been picking up a little bit
For all
Yeah.
three of us. I think.
Yeah.
I think we're all in
for everybody.
hitting our stride.
It's a
Mhm.
great trajectory.
I feel like word's starting to finally get out about the gym. I don't know. It's been busier in general. Maybe it's the end of summer, though.
No, everybody's getting busy. All the trainers are starting to stack up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
It's kind of a cool vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, in the morning, especially, I don't know, like 9, 10,
Bro,
Oh,
you should
it's
see that. You
busy.
should see the 6 a.m. club.
everybody.
Dude, is it really that bad?
It's dope. I love
Really?
it. It's a vibe.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Someone was asking me the other day, they're like, maybe I'll come in earlier because, I don't know, there's no one. I was
Oh
like,
no, there
No,
are.
there's- I
Yeah,
was like,
that's
5
probably
a.m.
one of the busiest times.
5 a.m. is definitely the time.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, let's get into routines.
Okay.
Get into routines. Speaking of
Let's do
early,
it.
because Austin, I want to know yours because you get up probably the earliest out of us all. I don't know about you, Chris.
Yeah, definitely not as early.
But
as
this is like a
Austin.
struggle for me. But you're up at like 4 a.m. You and Whitney, right?
Yeah, she's up too, but she's up and she's like, "Good morning,"
Yeah. You take a little bit.
and I'm up and I'm like, "Okay, I'm awake, but I'm exhausted. How do I get myself prepped
Yeah.
and right so I can have a productive day?"
Yeah.
So I usually get up, I'll jump in the cold shower, get my adrenaline going, and then I'm either going outside for a walk or I'm going to do some breath work, some meditation, and then grab my coffee. Take another half hour just to collect my thoughts. Sometimes I like to do some journaling and kind of gauge where I'm at for the day and what I want for the day. So like, again, we talked about auditing with one of our previous guests. I like to set the intention for the day, more so with how I want to act. So like, how does Austin want to react to the day? Moving through it with less reactivity
Mm-hmm.
and more so with intention. So like, if something does arise that there's a conflict, I know how to handle it because I prep my brain for it already. So
Are you like writing it down, or are you just like kind of mindful about it?
both. So I'll write things down, but I'll also do like affirmations. It's like it's not a very alpha thing to do, but I like to, tell myself that I'm confident. I like to tell myself that I'm
That's
strong,
important.
that I am capable. And the more you tell yourself those things, you'd be surprised. Like you actually start showing up as that person. I have a lot less worry going through my day because I've established who I am and who I think I am. And I think that is so important for a lot of people.
When did you start doing that?
Probably in Arizona, so like 5-ish years ago already. I used to move through life very anxious. I still have anxieties, but I think those anxieties were because I would worry about things and then react and avoid. Now I prep my brain, so I have the expectation there. So if, again, like I said, if something does arise, I know how I'm going to handle that situation.
I like that.
So that's like a huge intrinsic motivation right there. Because I feel like just writing it down, like, oh yeah, I'm worthy. I'm able to kind of do this stuff.
Mhm.
Or not kind of, but like I'm able to do this. I'm able to be the person I want to be. Like, I feel like that's even something like for me, like I don't necessarily write it down, but I just tell myself in the morning, like, all right,
You
today's
got
the
this
day.
shit.
We're going to
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah.
Do you guys do that on like a larger scale? Because I've heard from entrepreneurs and whatnot, they'll write down. Well, even I think Brian talked about it when he was on here, but I've heard of other people. If say you wanted to make a certain salary, you write down, I am this person at
Yeah.
this age making
Yeah.
this salary.
And then you like talk about like the law of attraction. Like you put those things in the atmosphere and you start to notice them more. I think it's the reticular activating system. So
Mhm.
like you buy a specific car, you start to see that car on the road more
Yeah,
often. So
right.
it's like
Oh,
the
yeah.
same thing. You put that vision in your brain and you start to see the opportunities come to you. So
It's almost like a
Isn't
form-
that kind of crazy though? Like
Yeah.
kind of side topic, but like when you actually think of a car, you actually see it more often.
100%.
Mhm.
It's weird how like I pay attention to that stuff.
Isn't it called from a psychology standpoint, it's like confirmation bias?
Yeah, I think
Is that
so.
right? I know it's one of them.
Similarly,
Yeah.
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 I mean, if you're already thinking about something, you're gonna see it. Like it's confirmation bias, I think, is similar. But yeah, I think you confirm what you already believe,
Right.
which again just asserts that what we're talking about anyway.
Yeah. It's almost like I was thinking about this today because I saw someone on their social media put manifesting. And for me, I'm not necessarily like, I manifested that, but I
Right.
think you aim at something
Totally.
Yeah.
and almost subconsciously at first you start to take the action items because you're
Mhm.
thinking about it so much. And then the action items obviously pay off,
Yeah.
whether it's one small step at a time, then you take a stride and then suddenly you're in this whole different, existence.
Totally. And there's a spiritual aspect to that too. Whether that's your God or it's just like you think the universe is partaking in your journey. I think you should be connected to something and have faith in something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Leave it up to something else, not your own intervention.
Right. What about you, Chris? What's the routine look like these days? And how's it changing?
So my routine right now, it's complete polar opposite compared to Austin's. Typically my first client usually is an in-home client at 7 a.m. So I'll do literally the least amount of time I can to get out of the house to make it to that session. So I'm just like, okay, I can set my alarm at 6:05. I'll snooze it for 5 minutes. Then I'll snooze again.
There's something about that
Then I'll
snooze
snooze
sleep.
again. I'm a
Snooze sleep is
snoozer.
a thing.
Jen fucking hates it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just get up.
Yeah, no.
Figure it out.
I'm just like, oh, okay. hold on. And then as soon as 6:20 hits, I take a shit.
Okay.
And then I scroll on Instagram.
It's like
just-
affirmation, same thing.
Yeah, affirmation thing. Yeah, just like, just scrolling through Instagram. I see Austin's first post of the day. I'm like, fuck, he's already up.
Dude, okay, on the Instagram, I gotta know, because I'll do it sometimes, and some people are like, hey, I don't touch Instagram until.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel, some days I do, because if I have something come in, since I have an editor for my content, sometimes I'll check and I'll get on and, you start to schedule everything. But do you feel like if you do it like 30 minutes in, your brain almost kind of just,
But
like it almost,
like they have studies on that though that confirm.
Oh,
that.
yeah.
it's,
I've definitely feel like it's a problem where I'm just scrolling. I mean, all three of us, I'm sure, it's just like, yeah, we get an instant dopamine release, but it's like, what for exactly? Because it's like, yeah, I use social media for majority of my continuing education now, but there's also stuff I'm like, oh, that's a funny reel. I'll just send it to either of you two, or I'll send it to Chandler or whoever, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
I think it's a
stupid.
time and place thing. We need restriction,
Yeah,
just like anything else
Yeah.
that is enjoyable. We need restriction.
yeah,
Otherwise, it becomes it starts to take over our dopamine.
it does.
Like if you wake up and you have that dopamine rush first thing in the morning from Instagram, it's like you haven't earned that dopamine. It's just given to you. So you're not teaching your brain to function that way.
It's weird how that works.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like if you control it, like sometimes I feel like if I'm in more control, so if it's almost like a post and ghost type of deal,
That's better.
I don't get the same
No.
Mushy feeling. Like it's
Because you're
it's
Yeah.
doing it for the right
right.
reasons.
So I
You're
go
doing it
on,
because
you
you wanted to
schedule, you
post it.
Exactly.
form. Maybe I check on you guys,
Yeah.
and then I'm out.
Yeah.
Then
The
I feel
problem
pretty
is
good
when we
about it.
post for the likes,
Yeah.
for the engagement. It's like,
I think that's the
Okay.
hard part too, is just because I follow some people who are big on, the only time, the time where you post is the best time you post, no matter what time, but where you're able to share it to whoever, and then you're able to comment, that's apparently the best hour. I don't know, whatever the best time is,
metrics, yeah.
whatever the algorithm is. But so I'll be on Instagram for an hour after I post, even for the entire hour. And then I'll try to my best to comment and stuff. But it gets engagement at the same time though. It's it's pointless because it's oh yeah, thanks for liking my funny reel or whatever.
Well, that's where I have a problem too. And I come back to these ebbs and flows of things and I have to realize post, let it go. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we're not living in the moment. We're not being where we are, with our
Oh, for
feet
sure.
grounded. And it's just then I'm living through Instagram and that's my reality.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is my reality. And I need to remind myself
Yeah.
this is where I live.
And you and I talk about that all the time. It's it's just social media.
Just social media.
It's
We put so much weight on it.
for no reason. Yeah.
Not to say it doesn't help us. It's
Yeah.
giving us all business.
Right. Yeah.
It helps, but if you're on it for the sole sake of checking yours, it's you're no longer providing value. You're trying to gain it.
Right.
You know?
Especially there's a funny meme I saw. It's back in World War II, guys were just fighting wars. And now guys are just looking at every 10 minutes who who viewed their
Literally,
Instagram
though.
story. It's dude,
It's sad.
yeah.
It's weird.
Chandler,
Wonder why
do you
there's
do
no
that?
great men in this country.
Do you care who views your stories?
I pay attention because I have certain people who don't want to see me do
Oh, yeah. yeah. All
Oh,
right.
so you're a chip guy.
We got a toxic king.
Yeah. Stay toxic.
If you're still watching my stuff, then like that's on you.
Yeah,
It's a motivating piece.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's a
you're a
motivating
toxic king.
Yeah.
That's just my thing.
That's your extrinsic
That's
motivation
fair.
right there.
All right, Chris. So you 6:05. You just
so 6:05, I
you,
snooze at
you
least
just flushed. You just flushed your out.
No,
You're off
6:20,
socials.
I flushed.
Do you have
6:20
coffee, or
you're
you just
flushed.
like your body's ready to go?
Oh,
Like,
dude, I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. We're
It's
just
out.
here.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll try to get through this session.
So you're pretty regular at least.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
consistent with it at least,
that's
you know.
good.
But as soon as it's like I hit, because like when I get in my car, so I'll get in my car by like 6:35, and then as I'm in the car, like driving to my first session, I don't play any music. I like to just kind of just be in my thoughts. So I guess like that's like my routine is on my way to my first session. I'm like, okay, like this is how the day's gonna go. And as soon as I hit like 3 green lights, if it's like in a row, I'm like, this is gonna be a great fucking day.
It's already got momentum.
Yeah. Versus if I hit a first red light, I'm like, fuck. Yeah. But
Yellows across the board.
yeah.
Boise's like that though. If you hit greens, you can go
You can go pretty,
Yeah.
you can go a long way fast.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's like my morning routine. It's nothing special. I don't journal. I mainly like write my goals the night prior. So I go into bed knowing like, okay, like tomorrow I got this. Okay, shut the brain off. And that's where like the next morning of, I'm just like, okay, like get ready, just do this. Like I'll leave my clothes right next to me on my bedside, like on the floor.
That's smart.
Yeah. So it's like I just sleep in my underwear and then just like as I wake up, I just put it on, head to the restroom, do what I got to do, brush my teeth, take a dump.
Fresh
Are
how
you
you started.
are you a breakfast guy?
My breakfast consists of either a protein bar or just protein and oatmeal. And it's like on the way to the session.
But clearly you're highly functional and you have like a full loaded schedule. So not everybody needs the regimentation, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I think I just kind of like with Zach, how he goes about it, where it's like I try to make an impact day by day. Like I do that, but then I also have like my goals from a week basis, month basis, quarterly, biannually, and annual goals. So I try to like make as best of an effort to reach all those goals within that time frame, like within the day and so forth. So it's like I can write down, like, okay, like I hit this. So like my typical notes that I write for goals are be a great husband, because obviously I'm married now. Walk Levi in the morning, depending on if I have early morning sessions or not. Kill it in sessions, write programs if needed, work out. If I can hit those 5, then I'm golden.
Do you have that written down or is this
Yeah.
something? Oh, you do?
Yeah, I write those 5 things down now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like that. How do you go into your first session, like mentality wise?
Mentality wise, it kind of doesn't sound, I don't want to make it sound selfish, but I also like to go off how my client's feeling too.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel with your first sessions, but if my client's feeling run down, I'm going to turn it up a notch. But if they're already like ready to go, then I'm going to match their level. So that's how I kind of like to go off of.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go where because I'm a big psychological fan when it comes to how a person feels going into each session, where I'm like, I want to meet where they're at.
Yeah.
Or because I don't want to go where it's like too high, then that's where like they get too riled
They
up.
should feel connected.
Exactly.
I agree.
So it's just like, how's the morning going? Like, how'd you start?
Yeah.
And how do you feel? Like, do the kids get cranky in the morning?
Connecting them on like a legitimate level.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm more like Austin. I have to like yours. I do like the drives to work. That's like a little thing that
I like that too.
I don't have it as much anymore because I live pretty close to here.
Yeah.
But when I was driving to, further workplaces, 30 minutes to an hour, it was like perfect because you can sip your coffee, you can kind of get your mind right.
Yeah.
But I've been struggling to get up because usually my day starts a little earlier because I've been training in the morning, starting this week.
Hmm.
But I've been liking that, getting it out of the way. But before that, I almost need to process a little bit for like an hour.
Yeah.
30 minutes at least where you can just sit down and just think. Just think, maybe, walk outside the dog or anything like that. But obviously, as you know, you have to get up freaking early.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost like if I don't have that hour to 2 hours, I feel rushed the rest of the day.
It's
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
2 hours is the really happy spot for me.
Mhm.
If I have
Yeah.
a 6 a.m. client, I really should be up at 4.
Right.
Like even an hour and a half feels rushed to me. I don't feel like I'm fully there.
Mm-hmm.
Like how has this transition been to getting up earlier?
Oh, it's been pretty good. It's
Yeah.
been like it's been in waves.
So
it's
you've had
not-
some earlier
Mhm.
sessions too.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
starting to get earlier sessions. So those are starting like 9 or
Nice.
10, which is making it even more because, as you guys know, you get an early session and then you might have an hour gap between a couple of them, but it just extends them out further.
Yeah.
So you're not getting, out of the gym till 3, 4, and then suddenly your evening routine has to kick in immediately.
Mhm.
hmm
So if I want to train, usually I train for an hour. That's my whole thing. But obviously that takes more. You have a commute time, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just prepping yourself.
Do you have that blocked into your day specifically right now?
Yeah, well, so that's been another thing. It's just scheduling. I was telling you guys this
Yeah.
last week. I've always been kind of like have the schedule in my head. I'll write some things down, but now I've been blocking everything out. Literally,
Yeah,
like
that's
Google
good.
Calendar is loaded, and that's been helping quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's almost psychological too, to where if it's on the calendar, you're probably gonna wake up, because you've been I don't know, just focusing
There's
on it.
anticipation.
Yeah, focusing on it. You're thinking about it the night before, and you're like, okay, like I have this at this time, rather than like, I should probably get up and do some stuff.
Are you already noticing benefit from like the restructure?
I would say training, having something to train for has been huge for me. So I have a Spartan half marathon in November, and not that I wasn't consistent before, but it's a different level of consistency. I think that's helping, knowing that I'm actually putting forth effort towards something, and that if I
Mhm.
miss a day, it's like that's gonna have either dividends or it's
Yeah.
gonna affect you negatively.
I see it
Yeah.
rubbing off into your business too already.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like there's been a difference.
Yeah,
It's like you've started to get things in order, and now everything is kind of carrying into momentum, and you have some. Like I feel like you're really hitting your stride right now with business. Like you got almost a pretty full client load already.
Mhm.
Getting a lot more athletes. The hybrid training's taking off.
yeah.
Pretty diverse with clientele. Like, do you see? Has there been a crossover? Or do you feel like intuitively different?
I feel like my mindset's changed. I've gotten way more. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm just going with iterations. So it's almost like chasing failure with everything is the best way to put it.
Mhm.
So for example, like with business and just Empire itself, I mean, like this last week, it's like I got 500 door hangers and I hired someone to put them out. And it's like, let's just see what happens. Like, I don't care what happens. I just want to get
Yeah.
them out there.
Mhm.
Yeah. smart.
I've hired the content editor, and a lot of times she'll send me stuff. And I'm like, I'm just going to post it. So I've been consistent with posting again, putting my stories up. Obviously, some of the bare basics that you should do as a trainer. But it's just I'm no longer, and this will be interesting to talk about goals because you talked about how you have like daily, weekly,
Mhm.
monthly, yearly, maybe bi-yearly, whatever they are. But I'm almost getting into process based where it's like let's just keep iterating and refining the process
Mhm.
and let's just see where it gets me. Obviously I have long-term things in my mind that I want to achieve, but I'm not focused on them at all as much
Yeah.
anymore. It's like let's just keep trying things and make sure I'm putting my foot to the gas. And
Yeah.
I think that's what carries you too is the processes.
Mhm.
People get so hyper focused on the long term goals, but they're negating like the daily tasks.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing that return by just implementing those processes on a daily basis and having more micro goals, like weekly goals.
Yeah. Those micro goals are such a game changer.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cause
Like,
it's like when you're just so focused on something so big, it's a question mark. So it's like, how do you fill that question mark? So it's like, if you just have this goal, it's like, okay, what do I do now? So it's like, you have to make things like how you're saying, like on a micro level.
Mhm.
It helps so much.
How you factor that into your regimen? Like micro goals or like weekly goals? Do you have like a client goal for the week?
So kind of like with my client goal. So I typically like to do between 25 to 30 sessions a week. So it's like, how can I manage to get to that point? And if it's like more than obviously that goal, that's totally fine because it just means more money. So I like to have like 25, 30 sessions a week. And then kind of seeing like, okay, after that, how much does that accumulate? Because obviously every session is going to be a little bit different in price, depending if they're like 1, 2, 3 times a week. And then on top of like having online clients too. So then I'll schedule out like, okay, we're going to have a FaceTime session with this person for a half hour, this person for a half hour, this person for a half hour. So I like to set a specific day, which is every other Sunday with those specific clients. And then so I'm like, okay, that's going to accrue X amount of money for this week, X amount of money this week. And then so I like to look back at past months and then just have like, because I do it all through like, I mean, you guys see like my spreadsheets.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to have it's okay. This month I hit this. This month I hit that. How can I make more than that? How can I make more than that?
Like it.
What do you do, Austin?
For like micro goals,
Yeah.
I get I truly live like on a day-to-day basis. Like I have goals, but they're pretty broad in general. We were talking about this at coffee the other day. Like I want to start implementing more goals that make me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like whether that's the house that I want or
Mhm.
the car that I want or the trip that I want to take. I want to start putting bigger things out there so that I am like having more like 3-month, 6-month, year, 3-year goals. But like I said, intentionally every day, my goal is to keep myself to a high standard, bring my best, like make sure every person I interact with feels like I elevated them in some way, or like they never feel like I'm bringing them down. Like I carry that into every single interaction that I have.
Mhm.
And I think that's really helped me out consciously because I used to be a very pessimistic person. So if I can interact with somebody and have a positive connection with them, that spirals, and again, it creates momentum in a different way. And I see more opportunities because everybody that engages with me can have something positive to say. But from like a routine standpoint, I want to have a workout every day, and then I want to do things that set me up for the next day. So like recovery routines. At night, I take a Epsom salt bath. Again, go for a walk, or I'll do like a polar plunge. But yeah, it's like I'm managing my day-to-day emotions. So it takes a lot for me to do that. So I have to have all of these things to check off.
Mhm. And do you feel like that's tough for you to like have like that, like those micro goals to reach like a higher goal? Like
I think
to like being so like hyper focused with like just the day,
for sure.
because it's like your day compared to my day. Like
Totally.
if I had
different.
your day, I'd be exhausted
And-
mentally.
But that's how I've always been.
Yeah.
Like, I'm somebody that is such an analyzer. I take in so much data, so I need to find a way to compartmentalize it. I have to have outlets. Otherwise, it just weighs me down. I'm somebody that needs peace and I need alone time. If I can't shut off, you will not get the best of me. I need to go home and I need to really shut it down.
Yeah.
Like
'Cause
prioritize
you
that.
do take like what, 2 to 3 naps a day?
I have to. Like when I'm going, I'm going. When I'm with my clients, they feel me. Like I'm
Yeah.
there. I'm with you. Like I'm bringing energy, and we're gonna do this, and you have my full attention. So I think sometimes, whereas I do those processes to set myself up for success, there's also other processes that I'm missing that would also be setting me up for success. So
Yeah.
like the nutrition, I'm not eating enough right now. I'm fasting in the morning. Like today, I had 8 sessions in a row, like from 6 to 2 p.m. Not eating.
That's a lot.
And it's
Yeah.
like when you start your day that way, bro, I'm diminished. So
Yeah.
like, I need a nap. So like I block out like at least an hour, and I'll take a nap. I'll put my headphones in and listen to some binaural beats. So like they'll put some tones in my ears, and it'll create an equilibrium of tones in my brain. It'll put my brain in a brainwave state that allows me to relax. So like you literally signal your brain to go into the state that you want it to go in.
Mhm.
And then it allows me to calm down my nervous system. I shut down, I sleep. I wake up a little bit recharged, and then I go back to the gym for my second half of the day.
Yeah.
It's like I'm usually I'm going in the morning, and I'm coming back for my workout or something else.
Right.
Do you ever feel like, so we talked to Jonathan last time because he's a big routine guy also, and he's got a lot, mostly just activities.
But I think his always serve him for the most part.
Yeah. Do you feel that it's a weakness at some point? And the reason I ask is I think of someone like Alex Ramosi,
Mhm.
who is almost like the opposite approach. He talks about how, and this applies to work, but people
Yeah.
are like, oh, I got to do this, this, this. And he's like,
Yep.
I wake up, I do this, and I go to work.
Totally.
Do you ever feel like,
100%. But I've always been somebody hyper focused on specific things. Like even when I was a kid, man, my parents would, they wouldn't really give us the most healthy food. I would have to like beg them to get me chicken and rice and like protein shakes and creatine. And like, I'm like, I want to get stronger and I want to be better and I want to be a higher functioning athlete. And they're like, just eat a bar out of the cupboard. Like just eat what we
eat
have.
the Doritos, Austin.
Yeah.
I'm like, but no, I want this specific thing because it implies a specific return.
Mhm.
So I get hyper focused on analysis and data. So like if something has been proved by science, I take that and put myself in the guinea pig shoes and I implement it into my routine and see whether it works or it doesn't.
Mhm.
And I've done this in a million different ways, from supplementation to nutrition to sleep to cold therapy to cellular regulation to light therapy. Like I've done a million things and I love it,
Mhm.
but also it's like it gets to a point where it's
a lot.
it's
So
a lot.
Now that I'm curious, because all three of us, since we're trainers, like what have you found recovery wise? Like out of all those things, what would you say are your, like the top three, and that have favored in yours recovery?
So you're not gonna like this, but stretching.
Mhm. Hey, that's fine. That's fine.
And round one in the middle of the floor.
All right, fuck. Okay, see you later, guys.
but strictly from a parasympathetic.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say relaxation.
Yeah, the
standpoint.
relaxation standpoint. Yeah.
So, and that doesn't dispute anything that you brought
Yeah.
up. So stretching for like performance.
I'm more of a foam
Yeah.
roller guy myself.
you guys are just trying to fuck with me today. Did you guys come up with this before?
No, we didn't.
But I would say like, I think, okay, recovery, you said?
Yeah, recovery. Like your top three,
I think walking.
anecdotally.
Yeah, walking, absolutely. Whether it's mentally recovering or physically recovering,
Mhm.
You're getting out in the sun, ideally, or just outside in nature.
Yeah.
That signals certain pathways for your body. I would say, like I said, the stretching and doing static stretching signals your nervous system to go into a rest and digest state, specifically post workout or before bed. I love doing that just because, again, I'm pretty high strung, so I need to signal my body to do these things. And I think because I am so self aware with my body, I really, really notice when things do work.
Yeah.
So then, like, I reinforce it. Then I would also say, between heat and cold therapy.
Mhm.
So like heat therapy, be it sauna or Epsom salt baths, and then cold therapy, cold showers, polar plunges, and again, mainly from a systemic inflammation
Yeah.
standpoint
Yeah.
for the cold therapy. I think if your goal is to build muscle, you probably shouldn't be doing much cold therapy within a 6-hour window of your workout.
Yeah.
But if your goal is strictly to diminish inflammation and
Mhm.
signal your body to shut down those signals, then you're going to do yourself a service.
Nice. Because basically, where I'm getting with this is so that way it can help you out with maybe like decreasing time with focusing so much.
Yeah.
So you can do like, obviously, you've been doing the stretching and the walking, like I'm sure with Kobe in the morning,
Sure.
and then maybe like a cold plunge or cold shower. Do you maybe just doing just like those three things would help you out
And I
rather
do,
than adding in so
but
many
also
other things?
knowing,
Yeah.
again, the data showing that all of these things
Yeah.
can add to you and optimize
Yeah.
you. It's like,
Mm.
man, I could do more. I can always do more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I have a hard time not like wanting more.
Yeah.
It's like I think I feel better than a lot of people, but I want to feel better.
Yeah.
So like that's what I think about. So that's why I kind of want to get into like the life coaching space, because I think a lot of people feel like shit
Yeah.
and they don't know how to handle themselves. So it's like, what things can you do to instantly make yourself feel better?
Right.
And I think I think I do too much, but
Yeah.
also I strive for more and I want to do more.
Mm-hmm.
I,
feel like,
should simplify, but I'm
Yeah.
also I have simplified.
Yeah.
This is actually a small chunk of what I've done in the course.
oh yeah, I
of my
remember we were
experimentation.
in Sun Valley. We were in the freaking supplement shop for hours. It felt. So we were like talking about, oh,
You
this
guys
one,
were
this
literally.
one.
I was like, I'm out.
I mean, I was a little nerd with it too, but you kept on going on, and I was like, shit.
I was like, we're hungover in a
I'm-
supplement shop.
if
Like,
you-
I think we need to chill out, guys.
That's where I nerd out. Is like I love supplements. I love learning about nutrition. I love learning about things that just interact with your body and engage with you and help you operate differently.
yeah,
What's one that you used to do that you believed, and then after a while, you're like, I think this is more placebo and maybe a little bro science.
that's what I'm interested in too.
Could you be more specific?
Like if you did like a supplement, let's say like
Oh,
for example,
supplement?
like
supplement could be a routine.
Yeah.
I mean,
because like for example, like there's a huge argument about like ashwagandha, like increasing testosterone levels.
So ashwagandha is an adaptogen. I
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily use it to increase testosterone levels, but
Yeah.
anytime you reduce cortisol, you have the opportunity to increase testosterone.
Right.
So I think just the reduction in cortisol alone is where ashwagandha has a benefit.
Right.
I don't think it should be a mainstay. You shouldn't use it every day to regulate your nervous system. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's a good example. But I think more has to do with like nutrition. I've done a million things with nutrition. Like I've done keto. I've done intermittent fasting. Like when I lived in Arizona, I didn't lift much. I ran a lot and I hiked a lot. And I did yoga 3 days a week. So I was doing mainly paleo diet,
Mm-hmm.
where I was fasting until 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then I would have a steak with sweet potato and spinach. And then I would do the same thing for dinner. And that's all I would eat for the whole day.
Jeez.
And I felt
Just those 2 meals.
just those 2 meals.
Damn.
And I felt so completely connected to myself and like so regulated emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was huge, but also made me realize that I didn't have the performance to want to have drive in the gym or have like,
Mhm.
so I wasn't super big at that point, but that also wasn't my goal. It wasn't my environment.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I pushed away mainly because my goals shifted.
Yeah.
Like, and I've done keto. I've done like, even tried vegan for a while. Like you name it, I've done it for at least a few month time frame.
Yeah.
And really, really did it.
So there's nothing that you've done that you were like, that was
I think everything serves a purpose. I think
right.
you
It just doesn't.
learn whether it works for you in
Yeah.
that time frame. So
That's-
if your
that's
goals
fair.
are aligned, then it makes
Yeah.
sense. But I think everything works for everybody. I think it's
Yeah.
just whether you want it to work.
And a lot of those things are similar. I mean,
I think like the big one for me, like supplement wise, is BCAAs. Because it's just like the argument of like, oh, it's going to help out with like your muscle recovery. But it's like if you have like enough protein throughout the day,
you've already gotten them.
you've
And
already
I think
done it.
that's where it comes in, though. I think actually a lot of people don't have enough protein
I
throughout the
think
day.
that's the thing too. Yeah.
So I think because they lack the protein, they see the benefit because they're not as
Mhm.
sore because they're already not getting enough protein.
Yeah.
Sip on that. I used to do the gallon jug.
I did
Dude,
too.
same.
I think
I used to put like
electrolytes.
3
though.
scoops. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's
Yeah.
going to help me grow.
Cherry limeade flavor, dude.
Ooh,
I got my water in every day. It was like
Evogen flavor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Oh,
Evogen.
man.
Okay. So let's segue this a little bit. So, and I think this goes for all of us. We are doing routines. We have a fitness side to us. How are you turning those, we'll call them habits and routines, into, or how are you starting to think about turning them into some of your entrepreneurial ventures? Because if you're so dialed routine wise,
Mhm.
I mean, if you flipped it and you're hyper focused, I feel like you could accomplish a lot.
Oh, 100%. That's where I'm lacking. That's
Yeah.
where I want more guidance because I am hyper focused on just feeling good for the day.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm missing out on putting energy into what will set me up for success long term. So I'm really dialed in on the processes,
Mm-hmm.
missing out on the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Do you have anything in mind? Like, is your brain starting to turn?
It is, and like I see but also like not really. Like I see a return, like just to kind of like be transparent. Like I brought in almost $10,000 last month.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that's the most I've made
Hell yeah.
ever.
Right.
So,
Fuck yeah, bro.
like after taxes, I made like $8,000,
Mhm.
but still like something I can be super proud of, but
Right.
not something I was aiming for.
Yeah.
It just happened because I take care of
Yeah.
it every
But
single day.
you subconscious. Oh well, maybe not subconsciously, but you told us about a month and a
Yeah,
half
it was like
ago that
mhm.
was your goal by the end of the year. I mean, it still is your
so,
goal.
So there is a subconscious thing there. So
Yeah.
maybe, that's part
Yeah.
of it too. And
Yeah.
I think I have the internal drive, even if I'm not like totally aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think that's where it helped me being around you guys because you are integrating more of the, like, here's my weaknesses, but let's really focus on them and engage them and like work towards
Mhm.
fulfilling these goals that I have.
Well, what about the like you talk about life coaching, and I actually can totally see that for you.
Mm.
How are you starting to put that into practice? Whether it's here with clients, maybe setting up goals outside of just physical, but how do you see that practice coming into play?
It's more so been, it's always been kind of an integration for me. Like I make sure they're doing routines. And if they have emotional issues or issues with relationships, then I help them kind of either make themselves aware of them and then like find ways to resolve them. Like I hear people complaining about relationships or stuff all the time. And most of the time they're not confronting those issues with the people they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like confront those issues with those people first and then come back to me.
Yeah.
So I could see, like, I think that's why I keep some of the clients I keep is because I give that aspect. Like, I think I'm a good trainer as far as like strength conditioning goes, but I think my value comes in from that other side of things. So I think that's my strong suit. I see that coming through again organically. I think at some point there's just gonna be an opportunity that comes up for me where I'm gonna be like, okay, this is my next lane, and I'm gonna step into this role. I don't think I have to aim for it.
Okay.
I think it's just gonna naturally happen.
So you're not gonna,
Mhm.
maybe create a service through either the gym here or maybe on your own.
Potentially, and I've talked to Chandler about creating a challenge before, even before we talked about creating a challenge
Yeah.
collectively.
Mhm.
I just never kind of followed through with it. But I think even just creating a 30-day challenge for people to follow with all these daily habits would be a great segue into me stepping into that lane.
Mhm.
And maybe creating an ebook where I have specific practices they can implement and maybe purchase that for a subscription or something.
Mhm.
I
I
think
think
it's hard being associated with
yeah,
a business
Right.
right.
because I would like to step into my own lane, but also don't want to cross
Yeah.
empire either.
Yeah.
And
I
you're doing
think
well
that's where like would be really cool. It's just since like we're really good friends, obviously. Like if us two
Like,
were yeah, like, you know what? I don't really like you, man. But if like we actually tried, like if say you made the template
Mhm.
and then Matt and I tried out as guinea pigs,
That'd be a good place to start.
and then that's where
I
like
could use that morning routine.
dude, same. Instead of just taking a dump and scroll on Instagram, I could utilize that.
But I think
Yeah.
it's finding what works for specific people too. So I
Yeah.
think if I create a general template, it might not hit. So like you,
True.
Me
I
slowing-
feel like that's
That's-
just checking
that's-
boxes
yeah.
at that point.
me slowing your
true.
day down would probably not benefit you.
Yeah.
But maybe me finding ways which you're lacking and then like
Yeah.
creating the template that's specific for you would be beneficial.
Do you ever think about putting that out on Instagram
The life coaching
or
stuff.
like just social? Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if you give advice to some of these people that's, away from the physical side of things. I feel like that's a ton of
Yeah.
value that you could offer.
And you can even
on
create
the
a poll too. Like if would this be something you're interested
like
in?
just a talking
Yeah.
head almost.
Yeah.
I think so. And I brought up a book club at one point. I had 50 people reach out and said they were interested in doing it. So like just through my
Is that a
social-
thing? Are you doing it now?
I would like to, but that's that's another like
Yeah.
potential space that I just with all of the energy I'm putting into things right now, I feel a little dragged down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, if you can't get your shit together, you cannot recommend other people to get their shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to take care of yourself first. So like I'm always waiting because I'm not always feeling 100%.
Yeah.
But I think I just need to leap into that
I was
space.
gonna say, do you feel like that's going to inhibit things? Because I feel like a lot. Well, it's like from a business standpoint, I'm not good enough to start a business. Like just start the business and fail
100%.
forward.
Yeah.
And that's been my drawback.
Because
Mm.
you've already just within our friendship and even hearing you talk to guests, you offer things like the routine you're talking about.
Mhm.
Some people could really benefit from that because they
Sure.
don't have that.
Yeah.
Other than myself, it's like maybe they try a cold plunge and they're like, "Oh, dude, I didn't even know
Right?
that would have helped."
Sure.
And then you can kind of explain to them. I feel like that's something you should.
I think I need to probably expand on it and start releasing more towards social media and like maybe more like me speaking.
Right.
'Cause I think I do a lot of photos and people don't really know who
Those
I am.
calves,
Yeah. They just know the bicep flex.
bicep and alien
Right,
Yeah,
calves,
it's the
dude.
dude.
boomerang. Yeah.
Yeah. I did it once and they're like, is that Austin? I was like, no, dude. He doesn't got a sleeve.
But yeah, no, I think that's a good point. And it's just committing to time
Mhm.
to block out to do those things instead
Yeah.
of going home and like I said, shutting it down and being like, I'm done, I'm checked out. Like I can find time.
Mhm.
Like, or I can find time to block it into my day. Maybe, find 30 minutes, even if it's 30 minutes, just to like budget for
Yeah.
to put towards that other thing that I want to do.
I think that's where I kind of want to talk about now too is calendars.
Yeah.
Because there's so many calendars out there. Like we can like some people like just like a kind of like the month one where like it has a block and a little daily task.
Mhm.
Some people like that. Versus someone like myself, I like using Google Calendar because I can go hour by hour.
Mhm.
For me, that works from a digital standpoint. But I know there's other people that like to actually have like
Like a
the
whiteboard.
hour like notebook. So it's like they'll invest like $25 at Staples for that.
Yeah. I
So
think
I-
that's super helpful.
Yeah. So I think that could probably be. That's why I think I love that we use Google Calendar now
Mhm.
instead of our old system because I'm able to actually now coordinate everything rather than just having schedule this, schedule that,
Yeah.
schedule this. So then it gets all lost in translation. So that's where I like to have just one specific thing and I can color coordinate and everything versus where other people who have like say like the hour by hour, just the notebook, they can highlight this hour, this hour, this hour.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think one thing that frustrates me about that, I mean, I do it, obviously.
Yeah.
It's helping. But I almost like the paper too, because then when it's 7 o'clock at night, and I'm terrible at this. And we could talk about night routines too,
Yeah.
but you can't shut it off because your phone does everything.
Right. Exactly.
I was listening to a video again, and
Even
I
on
bring him
night-
up all the
night
time.
shift.
Huh?
Even if it's on night shift.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you have to look at it.
Yeah.
But Alex Hormozy was talking about work, and like he has a separate stopwatch that he turns on for 4 hours a day to get work done. So everything's away 4 hours.
That's smart.
And he was telling someone, you want to get work done, every time you look away, like you stop the stopwatch, that you're not working. So you hit play when you're actually working. And I've
Yeah.
tried it a little bit, and I'm telling you, it took me like over 2 hours to get 45 minutes of actual work done.
Damn.
But it was crazy.
But that you never think about that.
Yeah, because I
It's
had to
super helpful.
I had to do it on my watch because I was like, oh, I'll just do my phone, and then like you get notifications. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
but it's crazy.
Even like, and that's like Jen actually does a great job of that because since she's in school, she'll just fully put her phone on do not disturb or sometimes airplane mode, and she'll just be upstairs just knocking out her homework.
Mhm.
Smart.
And I'm just like, fuck, I wish I was that disciplined.
I have to have it in a different room. I can't even have it.
Yeah.
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 And then I have to turn all notifications off on my PC too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
That's
excuse
what
me,
that,
Mac,
yeah, that's
Mac,
what
not PC. Sorry.
yeah, that's what she does.
What do you guys do about work environment? Like,
It's
how
been
do you-
kinda-
Like
well,
where,
since I
where
just-
we do work?
Yeah, like where do you get your work done? Do you have a specific place? Do you have a specific time frame where you do most of your things?
I've created
Yeah.
a new environment because I just moved. So the kitchen table has turned into like a workstation.
Yeah.
And at my old house, I could never get work done at home. I had to go to a coffee shop or a restaurant or something to do
Mhm.
work. But now that I've just started doing that, I actually prefer to go back home.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, we just got a desk upstairs, which helps. But I actually like still going to a coffee shop because I like that environment of having people around me. Hearing like the coffee machine go off, like smelling it, it's really, at least to me, that's like soothing.
Right.
But then sometimes if I just like want to just be at home, I'll just put on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a 10-hour like
The lo-fi beats,
it's not lo-fi beats.
Oh,
It's a
I was gonna
it's
say
like-
lo-
mix.
it's a sounds of coffee shop.
EDM.
okay.
Oh.
So it actually sounds like, dude, I would not be able to
Is
get
it-
shit done.
Is it in 4D? Does it have like a smell sensor too? Does it give you like sprays
I-
of coffee?
It made me sick.
Yeah.
It went, psst, and then it's just coffee.
Do I like when you go to the coffee shop, there's always someone next to you having like the heartfelt conversation. You're
Oh,
like,
my god! And I'm like, I'm trying to listen to this.
It's either a
instead
Bible
of doing
study or
work.
there's somebody on a date or
yeah. So what do you do like to do for fun?
well, clearly like coffee.
Those are the worst, the first dates. You know what's funny is since I do work at a restaurant, I get my fair share of serving first dates. And you always know
Oh,
when to
yeah.
bring the check because the phones are just out and you're like, oh God. Are we doing split or together?
Damn.
It's so awkward. It's been 30 minutes. You know, it's like, ugh.
How does the serving life affect your current goals?
It's more frustrating than anything now.
Yeah.
Because it's and the owners of the business that I work for, they're like family to me, and they know where I'm headed, and so they do everything to help me, which is, I mean, why I love them to death, because I can tell them like, hey, I'm going to this event, or I'm setting up a booth here, or whatever it is. I need this day off, and he'll make it work. I would say it's frustrating now just because it's just money. It's money to do all the things that I need to do and to make up for the gaps that I maybe don't have a client, or maybe they, fell through for a couple weeks, or maybe it's paying for the editor or whatever the promotion items.
How much you paying for the editor?
I pay $500 a month,
You feel like
So-
it's been worthwhile so far?
100%. So I went on Upwork,
Okay.
and I there's two. There's another one. There's Upwork, and then there's Fiverr. I didn't like Fiverr as much, so I kind of just navigated the sites, and I was like, oh, Upwork, I can just post a job. They come to me.
Specific to the job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just posted what I want. I was like social media editor, fitness, fitness content. Luckily, I've edited my own, so I was like, here's some pieces that
This is my style.
This is my style, and this is kind of what I'm looking for. Obviously, your
Yeah.
flair. And I probably had like 20 to 25 people apply for it. And so then I put additional questions on, additional questions. I was like, hey, like, what can I get for $500? That's my budget at this point. And let me see some, other pages that you've done. So you can kind of, either they're doing.
Are you just giving them
Yeah.
long script like edits or like long?
So I ended up hiring this gal.
Yeah.
She was a former personal trainer and everything, and I liked her work. And I actually talked to Chandler, and this actually kind of helped me out because he was like, the more detail you can give, the better it's going to run.
Right.
Because if you just put it on them, then you're going to run into problems, and you're either going to love it.
Because they're going to take it with
Yeah.
which feels natural to them.
And this actually worked into my favor. So for 500, she offered three posts a week. I have to post them obviously, but 3 edits a week with 3 revisions. And I was like, like I want to eventually post every day, but I was like, I don't want to post weekends right now. I want to try to like block those off still, but I want to post 4 times. And maybe if I have something on my own, I can post whether it's from Empire or, whatever it is. So I was like, okay, well, what if I did 4 posts with 1 revision? And that's where Chandler's advice came into play, because she was like, okay, that's awesome. I was like, because I'm going to get detailed, and it works perfectly. So we do 1 revision a week,
Nice.
if that.
Yeah.
Like the other day I posted and it was like, she just sent them.
Yeah.
I was like, they're good to
What's
go.
the information you're giving for each video?
So I'll just, and we're in the first month. So we're almost done with the first month. She's starting to catch on to what I foresee, the whole vision of the projects. And we're trying some experimental videos. So we have like a whole template. But basically I put the title, and then I just kind of whatever's in my brain. Like, this is kind of what I see. This is a motivational video. If it's a talking head, these are my main points, because I might give her anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes of content. Obviously, it has to be under 60 seconds. So I'll say, here are the main points in the video. So make sure you include these. So
Are you saying add Jordan Peterson clip here?
I did.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did?
So
Yeah.
Then
nice.
I go and find, if there's a clip, I say, here's the actual clip that you can snipe and put in there, so that they.
So it still takes effort on your part.
takes effort,
Yeah.
but I don't have to play around with like an editing.
It's not the
software.
time.
And then I'll go to social media pages of someone that maybe I got the idea from, or I might like their page, their aesthetic, and then I include those. I'm like, here's a couple ideas.
She's pretty receptive.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And she's
Nice.
starting to pick up on my pickiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. But I also told her, and I think this is one thing, again, going back to, I'm just failing forward, which I think has been the biggest. I don't know. I'm thinking like, okay, this is a seasonal life. What am I going to do for the next 5 years? Let's just see where it goes.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, hey, 1 iteration. Maybe it's not completely what I want. Maybe I think it sucks now. I don't like what I said. Just post it and see what happens. If someone likes it, maybe you're just getting feedback.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just the process of finding my voice. I don't think I found it yet. I don't think that when someone goes to my page, they're like, oh, dude, like this guy is known for this content, and it's just value driven. I think I have the right intentions.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just literally going through all these, iterations to figure out who I am and what I want to preach and
Yeah.
what value I want to provide.
That's all it is just trial and error. Like, I mean, with anything in life, it's just figuring out like what direction you want to go with.
you seem like to be fully aligned at this point, like more so than ever.
Yeah.
Is that where that set it and forget it approach comes in? It's like, I'm doing this for me.
Mhm.
If you guys pick it up, awesome. If you don't, oh well.
I think the biggest mind switch for me in the last, I would say mostly this year, because last year I was kind of on the fence. I was doing all these different things. And I remember we had a conversation. It was kind of like, you got to commit to this.
Right.
And Empire was a part of that. I think the entrepreneurial game was where I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's all these options. I have a master's degree, so maybe I play it safe and just take a paycheck somewhere.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like and we can get into this, the burn the boats mentality. I don't know if I've completely just jumped ship. I still have a
Right.
side job.
For sure.
I'm doing okay.
Not fully there yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good. But where my mind has shifted is I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
I've told Lindsay that. She's on board with it. I was like, hey, I know where I want to head.
Yeah.
I know what the vision looks like, and I'm not going to stop until I get that. It might evolve.
Yeah.
Obviously, it might have to be controlled.
Yeah.
Because I think entrepreneurs can just keep going.
Right.
But I think I have good intentions, and I want to help people in the right ways and add value to the world.
Totally.
And I'm just not going to stop. And it's already paying off. And I think that's where my mind's gone, because you just keep trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you, Chris? I want to talk about the chapstick game.
The chapstick game.
Oh yeah.
What is your entrepreneurial pursuits? Because you've talked,
Yeah.
you're here at Empire, but you've talked about your own gym, which you've even thought about in the past.
Yeah.
Chapstick at EDM concerts. That's gonna be the title of this video to get some people
Chapstick
clicking.
EDM concert. That's actually a huge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
The trademark is?
Yeah.
The trademark is working.
Okay. Let's talk about the trademark process.
Yeah. So basically with the whole trademark process, it's just kind of like how I get. So I also have an LLC for my own personal training business that I got last year, which I actually need to renew
Same.
next month. But basically I went through just looking up certain areas of okay, how do I just get this started? And the first thing that popped up was called InkFile. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that.
Mm.
Sounds familiar, but
Yeah. So it's InkFile where you can just basically file for an LLC, and it literally took 2 days.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah, it's so fast. And it
Oh,
goes
that's
to
Idaho?
the state and federal.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's how you did the trademark or your initial LLC.
the trademark.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were
so
talking
those are the
about
same
the
thing. I don't even. I feel like
Actually, no, sorry, just the LLC.
Oh, okay.
okay.
Yeah, sorry. The trademark, that's a whole.
What's it called?
InkFile.
Ink file.
They have a
INC
bunch of
file.
those sites now where they just
Yeah,
do
they
it
have
for
so
you.
many.
Smart.
Yeah, but it's just for the LLC. But the trademark aspect, you actually have to go through certain things, which one of my buddies back in Cali like told me about. But it's like it's a whole step-by-step process. You have to like go through the state, then you have to set it over to like federal. But I don't know how to go about that yet. But the whole LLC aspect, I'm gonna start that next week, so I can just have the name out already, and it's mine.
Speaking of that, if your LLC is like expired, does that mean that just that LLC is up for grabs as far as a namesake?
Pretty much?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where it's like, okay, I gotta get it back.
I'm gonna go buy Austin
Yeah.
Rogers LLC.
I know. I'm like, I just have to renew that.
I'm gonna hold it against him.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you got to give me like 5 clients.
Yeah.
that'd be a good move. That'd be smart.
But it, like
Power
for
play.
kind of going into like other business ventures, like I do have a 3 to 5 year plan of like being realistic with myself, where I definitely want to own my own business. Like
think-
I technically do own my own business,
Yeah.
like how all 3 of us like want to start up something
Right.
ASAP to like in the next 3 to 5 years. But realistically, like for me, I put like 3 to 5 years. That's the mark. Because in 3 to 5 years, Jen and I plan on buying another home, depending on where that business is going to be.
Right.
That's another thing too. Luckily, I have a few clients that are in real estate and willing to invest, but obviously that's going to be in the very future. It's not going to be anytime soon. Like, because I do want to be here and see Empire grow.
For sure.
But realistically, like, I want something for myself
Totally.
too.
Your own baby.
Yeah.
Is that something Jen is going to be involved in too? Like, do you want Jen to be like a part owner of this? Or is this going
I
to be your
wanted
thing?
her to,
Yeah.
but she's like, this is going to be yours.
Yeah.
And since I already have the LLC, so it's like it's already in just my name.
Mhm.
Like since she's in school to be a registered dietitian, it'd be sick
Oh,
to work together. But at the same time, like I already know we're gonna fucking fight. So
it's a lot.
yeah, because I work a certain way, she works a certain way, and we would just butt heads, and that's the last thing I want for us to do.
Sure.
And I'm sure that's the same thing with like you and Lynn's.
Yeah, we have completely different. Well, the only thing that we have agreed upon is whoever gets, if anyone pops off first, then I was like, I'll gladly be your editor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like you can just make your TikToks all day and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'll edit and then hit the course. You know, hit
I
the
think
golf
that's
course.
interesting too. Though, like we're all with women that are also pretty forward focused and also have
Yeah.
their own goals and desires.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty unique. I don't see that a lot in today's relationships.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, I mean, I feel like you don't see it in your surroundings, but I feel like you're starting to see, well, online
See it
in
more.
general
You're seeing
Yeah.
it more.
is starting to see,
Yeah.
not necessarily partnerships, but being able to
Like,
support the other role.
Lindsay like wants to do something with pottery, or she wants to do something on her own outside of teaching. Jen has her own teeth whitening business. Whitney doing the eyebrow tattooing and wants to do something else as well. I think it's pretty cool.
yeah,
Then you guys can both like bounce things off each other and be like, you can support each other's businesses.
yeah.
I think the biggest thing has been accountability.
That's a big one.
There's obviously bouncing ideas, and for me personally, I've had to learn to take it's harder to take criticism from your significant other, I
Mhm.
feel,
Yeah,
than
100%.
someone maybe like you guys
Yeah.
or even someone else who I don't know as much.
Right.
So that's been something I've been learning, but I will say the accountability aspect has been huge. I
Yeah.
would,
Does she hold you accountable?
yeah.
Okay.
So if it's like, let's say I'm going to do something, then now instead of me being able to just be like,
Right.
whatever, it's like, hey, you said you were going to, I don't know, something simple. Like you said you were going to post today. You said you were going to start.
See, I appreciate that. And like, that's something that I'm desiring more too, is like, nobody keeps me in check.
Yeah,
I know like it's probably hard, but I don't take criticism well again from my partner. I think
Mhm.
I don't know if it's like a masculinity thing or what, but it's like, I think very practically. And I think that's always been a disconnect, is like trying to get to the emotional level. Like, even though I have the emotional understanding, I'm not able to get there when I have the practical sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like when I get this emotional response, my practical sense goes above the emotional response. That trumps your emotional response, and I win.
Right.
I win no matter what.
So that makes it hard for me to take advice.
It is.
It's like I already
Yeah.
know the thing. Why are you telling me to do it? I
Yeah.
know I need to do it. Why you
Mhm.
got to tell me to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, she's actually just telling me to follow through on what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I feel like that's the biggest thing is it's just action based.
Yeah, it is.
And that's where, like, I even ask Jen sometimes, I'm like, hey, like, what should I post like this week? Like, what do you like if you were someone like that's wanting to like know more about me or about just fitness in general, since obviously it's a fitness page,
Mhm.
what would you want to know? Because for me, like, I'm kind of sick and tired of like being funny because it's like, yeah, it shows personality, but it's also like,
sorry, Chris, you're not. I'm just kidding.
I'm really not that
I hate to break it to you.
Hey, you're laughing.
Inadvertently.
Yeah. But that's where I'll ask her, and she's like, well, first off, stop reposting the same shit that you posted 2 years ago. I'm like,
Damn.
Yeah, it's like ouch.
fuck, all
I'm
right.
gonna go
Yeah, I'm gonna just
sit outside for an
Yeah.
hour.
But that like it helps me out because then it's like, what else am I gonna post on Instagram besides just like whatever it may be?
Right.
So it like gives me good insight, and then I'll ask you guys like, from a friend standpoint, like what
Yeah.
should we post? Like what? How should I go about this? How should I go about that?
Whose opinions do you weigh more? So I think I seek out specific people for advice and like mentorship.
I think that's where like just getting closer to you guys. I would say as of right now, it'd be you two.
Yeah.
You two, Jen and my mom.
Yeah. How does your mom play a role?
She's more on like, well, you fucked up on getting tattoos, so that's that. You got a hand tat, you can't get a corporate job. But
Masters out the window.
yeah. I'm like, well, I got a master's degree, whatever, mom. But she plays a role in where she comes from a personality where she doesn't know anything about fitness. So it's like doing like simple exercises. Cause like we like to think very complex where it's like doing this movement, like, but everybody knows that. But it's like
No.
not everybody really does.
Yeah.
Cause even like a client that I just got, she didn't even know how to do a regular seated row. And I'm just like, that's so simple.
Yeah.
But then it's like,
People don't know.
people don't know. But that's where it's like, I think it's cool how people are posting like just regular basic stuff. So then I'll tell my mom like, hey, just watch this. I'm not going to post it.
Right.
But she's like, no, just post more simple exercises that people can do either at home or even just like getting in more steps. Like, how should I go about walking? Like,
Then you're actually educating the people that really need it.
yeah.
I think we get caught like trying to be super scientific and in depth for people that already work out and know how to work out. Like
Yeah.
we should be breaking it down to a basic level for people that need the education.
I think it's with anything. We were just talking
Yeah.
about an LLC, and that took me forever
Yeah.
because I procrastinated on it.
Right. If
And it
somebody would
took-
just give you the template.
And it took someone. Well, they didn't even give it. I mean, that's why sites like the
Yeah.
Ink. What was it?
Ink file.
Inkfile.
Yeah.
So if anyone needs to build an LLC they don't know, they can now go to Inkfile. I did it through the state, and I didn't even know until someone said, "Here's the state website.
Yeah.
Go to this tab right here, click LLC, and then just fill out all the information." It took me 30 minutes.
Yeah. And it takes like a day for you to actually get your paper.
I felt so accomplished.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah!"
It's so sick.
Talk
I
about a
think
real
that-
dopamine
And
rush.
I think the next
Yeah.
thing too is like, oh, how do I get a business loan? And then that, because my mom, works in banks. So it's like, I don't know how to go about that.
Mhm.
She's like, well, you have to be in business for 2 years. Then you can get a business loan. Then I asked her like, so how can my friend who just started like an LLC, how does he get a business loan? She's like, well, he probably already had businesses prior where he just like made it up for those businesses, but used it for this business.
Playing the game.
Yeah. So I'm just like,
I know. And you wouldn't know until you ask. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing that you just ask.
Ask.
Reach out to random people
yeah.
and ask. I mean,
Mhm.
that's why I ended up reaching out to Travis
Yeah.
because I talked to him one time.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, you were training him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to him. He had like some business sense. Then we went to his grand opening at Stella's.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like he knows a thing or
He has
two.
an
And
idea
so I
what's
just
going on.
reached
Yeah.
out via Instagram.
Yeah.
And then you get connected with all these other people. And I've reached out to other people too. And it's amazing what you
Mm-hmm.
just ask.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter how many followers they have on Instagram or anything. It's just like the worst they can say is nothing,
Yeah, exactly.
you know?
Should I throw a pivot at you guys?
Do
Real
it.
Quick, and I don't have a mic, but so you guys talked about how you guys didn't know how to do these things and starting a business and how to create an LLC, all these things until someone told you how to do it. So as trainers, what are the things that you think people overcomplicate or don't know the first step or two that would alleviate a lot of the barriers to getting into fitness, to becoming more fit, to becoming more healthy? What are the things and what are the key informations that you could say, hey, these are great resources or these are things to learn about that would help somebody take that first step? Because you guys all had a vested passion and interest, and there was just something that made it a little bit too difficult for you.
So to summarize what Chandler said, I think what he's kind of asking is what do you see as specific barriers of entry to health and fitness for like the basic client that has a difficult time just starting?
I would say YouTube has everything, but don't just go to your favorite influencer. I would put these down on paper. I've heard 7 and 8. I'll just say 7. The 7 fundamental movement patterns is where you should start.
Right.
Because any good program over the course of a year is going to have all 7, which is your squat, your hinge, your vertical push, your horizontal push, your vertical pull, horizontal pull, and a carry, or some sort of a core element, depending on who you ask. And obviously there's more complicated features to that a coach could go into, but for just a basic program of movement,
right?
And this isn't looking at nutrition or any of those things. Write those down and then start looking at all those different exercises. And then you literally have your full body taken care of.
And you'd be surprised. You do those 7 exercises, maybe 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
People will see massive results.
Oh, they see so many gains.
And they don't need much resistance. They could use bands. They could use body weight. But from going 0 to 100, like nothing to something, you're going to see a lot of progress. And specifically, like they talk about newbie gains. Like, your body has never had these stimuli. So now you induce the stimulus, you get this response, and your body is now producing an anabolic state. And you have the ability to put on some muscle, which is going to increase your metabolism and increase your energy output. So on top of just those exercises, I'd say walk.
Yeah.
Start walking.
Walking's a big one.
Twice a day, 5 minutes. Start with 5, like the Atomic Habits thing. Just show up at the gym. Commit to showing up to the gym. You start showing up to the gym. At some point, you're going to start doing something. So you start doing something that turns into more things. That turns into committing to becoming a consistent gym goer. And then you wake up one day and all of a sudden fitness is a part of your lifestyle.
Yeah. And I think like one of the big overrated things, you guys might disagree with me on this, is the 10,000 steps a day. Because since I'm very like research based, where American College of Sports Medicine, they came out like I think in 2019, where they said like just getting 7,000 to 8,000 steps is like sufficient enough.
Yeah.
As long as they're getting at least half of what their body weight is in water, and then like add like 20 ounces of more water after that, like they're golden.
And like with those people that have the desk jobs, like that aren't implementing any of these things, are probably like I see their watches, like I'm sure with some of those people, like 2,000 to 5,000 steps.
Yeah.
You get to 10,000 steps a day, you're doubling your daily movement.
For sure.
And that's an extra 500 calories burned, if like ish.
Yeah.
Just by walking.
And then one thing that I like to do with my clients that just start is just to go in for like a 5-minute walk after each meal.
I was gonna say I don't even for new people into the gym. It's like don't even focus on steps. Like stop looking at numbers.
Yeah.
Just move.
Just to 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right to a time.
It's about habit formulation at the beginning.
It's always
with anything.
Yeah.
So I would say the movement patterns, the 7 or 8, depending on who you ask. You can go look those up on Google. And then nutrition. I know we've talked about it a little bit here, and this is my opinion. You guys can agree or disagree. I feel like most diets, they have their places with the unique individual.
Right.
They're pretty similar. I would say just look at your protein in the beginning, right around a gram per pound of body weight. It's pretty safe, and most people don't get that. And just start paying attention to it and see if you can get more protein in your diet, and then worry about everything from there.
I'd say, focus on the protein and the calories.
Yeah.
Just track your total calories. Don't worry about the carbs and fats at this point.
Yeah.
Get your protein. See what your daily caloric intake is.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you can get a BMR done, so a basal metabolic rate using a machine, or you can do calculations online too. You can see what your baseline metabolic rate will be, meaning how many calories you burn at rest.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm burning 1,600 calories at rest, I'm going to start taking in 1,600 calories. That means any excess movement I have outside of just living is going to put me at a deficit. If I'm at a deficit every day for 7 days a week, I'm going to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're getting the specific protein intake, you're going to lose body fat. So
Yep.
it's a pretty easy breakdown if you think of it that way.
It is. And a lot of people, I don't know, you guys have had more clients over the years because you've been training longer. I feel like a lot of people aren't eating enough.
No,
That's the
really
first.
not.
That's the first part. Is like I'm like, you might have to stuff your face for a few weeks because
Yeah.
you're just. There's nothing happening in there because
Yeah.
you eat your, whatever bar in the morning, and then
Yeah.
you don't eat until 6 at night, and
Right.
then you go to bed with 1,000 calories in your stomach.
And like talking about the circadian rhythm and the timing of your food, I think there's data to come out about like eating in a 12-hour window. Your body wants to process food in 12 hours. If you're eating outside that window, your body does not break down things as effectively. You're blocking hormones that should be released. So if you're eating too late, you're blocking growth hormone. We need
Yeah.
growth hormone to reset our system and to recover. If you're not getting adequate sleep because you're eating too late, again, you wake up with a slower metabolism. So these all play a role in how we work cyclically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then that's where like kind of like having that habit of like, okay, if I'm getting off work late, maybe I should have that meal like either way before and have just like a snack
Yeah.
as I'm like heading home to getting my bed routine going. And then I'm able to sleep well.
I think if people did that and they tracked their first meal, so my first meal's at 6. Okay, I'm not going to eat after 6 p.m. If people did that, they would be super surprised with not only that they sleep better,
I could actually use this.
they feel rejuvenated in the morning, and they feel more recovered, and their metabolism works better because it's on a clock.
That's true.
You need to be at your body. Our body wants input, it wants data, and it wants to be on a clock. The same way Andrew Huberman recommends getting sunlight first thing in the day. Like he says that because the sunlight signals your body that you should be releasing cortisol and you should be awake and highly functioning.
Yeah.
That the sunset induces a response to release melatonin and to get yourself prepared for sleep. Like I think we need to think of things more on a rhythm.
I think that's where it's like for some people it's tough, especially because like for us in the winter, it's dark as hell.
It's hard.
So I think one thing that I'm gonna definitely invest in is a vitamin D light.
Yeah.
And they're like $20 on Amazon.
I have a happy light
Yeah.
because I get
course you
sad
do.
sometimes.
If you walk by Austin's house, it's like a disco in there, dude.
Are you sure you're not walking by my house?
But I grew up in Wisconsin. Like we had 6 months of darkness
True.
and cold, brutal winters.
Yeah.
And like the seasonal depression's a real thing. Like coming out here, it's very, very mild.
Yeah.
But it does make a difference. Just light.
Yeah. I didn't experience it until moving here
Yeah.
because it's like
It's
in Cali,
different.
it's just like,
Sunny.
Sunny.
Or where you were at.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like sunny majority of the time.
And like beautiful weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was perfect. I mean, granted, we're like exactly where I grew up. It was very foggy, but like literally just 10 minutes south of that,
Say you're
it's
in the
sunny.
clear. Yeah.
So what's I guess like the last segment, unless we just keep going, but because we could be here all day, Dusty. No, just kidding. So what's next? Like what's for you guys, whether it's 30 days, 90 till December, what's next on to evolve, whether it's entrepreneurial,
Yeah.
just what the value you're providing to clients, to yourself, like what's kind of on your guys' minds?
I think we
next?
start making more collaborative weekly commitments.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like we talked about previously at the coffee shop, like having homework that we present to each other each week.
Yeah.
It's like we can keep ourselves accountable. Like, hey, Matt, what do you want to accomplish going into next Monday? And it's like, okay, I have all this stuff outlined and I'm going to take care of these things and Chris and I are going to hold you accountable. And then obviously vice versa for us.
Yeah.
Like that's where I could use some help.
Yeah.
It's like,
Anything specifically? I mean, we could do it right here.
I think just organizing my eating, structuring myself so I'm getting enough calories so I can function for a whole day. So I'm not just so burnt out at the end of the day. And then also just like budgeting financially.
Yeah.
Budgeting to save and then implementing some short-term goals that I can strive for within the next 3-6 months.
Do you think maybe something, because the dieting is obviously physical, anything like maybe the book club? I mean, you don't have to. I'm just throwing things your way.
And I think I want to find the right way to do it. Right now, my thoughts are to make like an Instagram or Facebook group
Mhm.
and do that.
So even that, maybe just check in on something like that.
Yeah, I could do something like that. I want to make sure it's a priority for me right now though.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
make sure that that lines up with what I truly want right now. I think the book club is something I want to do at some point, but I don't think it's a desire for me currently. 'Cause
Mhm.
I'm not currently reading a ton. I do want to.
Mhm.
That's something I want to start doing again. Reading 5 minutes a day ish,
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe having a weekly goal of how much I want to read for a week.
Yeah.
Or audiobooks or whatever.
Right.
Nice.
What about you, Chris?
This is something I wanted to do with you to add on to your laundry list
Mm.
of things, but doing that trainer seminar where
yeah.
not seminar, but trainer internship where, because for me, like I've always, given that I have a mastery like you, Matt,
Mhm.
I actually love teaching.
Yeah.
Hence why like I did agree to do those seminars. We did like, what was it, like earlier last year?
Yeah.
Or late in last year. I love teaching, especially newer trainers, because I wish I got that as a newer trainer.
100%.
Because, for example, like my first client ever as a trainer had a pacemaker in her heart.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
Hit
dude,
cardio.
yeah. And I was just like, okay, we're gonna do X amount of reps, X amount of reps. Imagine like an 18-year-old has zero education and
Yeah.
get that as their first client. I would be like, no,
That's a lot.
that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So that's where like I want to develop something for newer trainers that they don't get.
And for those
Currently.
that don't know, like Chris and I have had people seek us out specifically and ask us, people that are designed to be trainers, ask us questions about being trainers.
Yeah.
It's like, if we can create the template for what that looks like, maybe Chris more from a science background and like a kinesiology standpoint, and maybe myself from more of an integration inside the gym standpoint, like as far as how you should operate as a trainer, and like we can both collaboratively do stuff with marketing and making sure they're setting themselves up for success, and just how to create the template
Yeah.
and the foundation.
Is this something you guys are wanting to put out there?
So I talked to Zach about it, and
Yeah.
I think it's something that we might put on here and like
Mhm.
make it open to
Just
people.
to see
Yeah.
how it works.
Because we would take on like, I would say realistically like 2 to 3 quote unquote interns
Mhm.
at a time.
Yeah.
Just because realistically, I don't want more than that,
Yeah.
because it devalues the quality.
Right.
Because if there's like 10 of them and then they all have questions, it's like, well, just ask me later. Oh, ask me later. It's like, no, I just want 2 to 3. You can ask me as many questions as you want,
Mhm.
and then go from there. Like whether it's like from a business standpoint, like, oh, like this is the day-to-day life as a trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a couple ways of doing that. So like there's the intern perspective, and there's like, I also discussed doing like every Saturday we're doing a 2-hour block where we're just educating and discussing topics.
Yeah.
Like we could do that every Saturday for an 8-week period, and this is a course, almost like a certification.
Mm-hmm.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I
'Cause
mean, I
it-
feel like that would go into both, like, of your accountability.
Yeah. And it's like, I think it's going to be, not because it's like everybody does it, but I would think that the main difference is they actually get to come in to the gym with us. Because I've done trainer mentorships before. I've gotten great advice from a business standpoint, but I wish I also got that in person. Like I was able to actually ask you a question, like face to face.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are able to get that. Because I got to where like I got through Compound Performance where with Kyle Dobbs and Matt Domney, like they were phenomenal, but I wish I was actually with them. Like
Right.
Matt's in Houston, Kyle's in St. Louis.
Mhm.
So it's like, I wish I could either like fly over to them or they could fly over here and we could actually have a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah.
Versus like these newer trainers, whether they're like straight up 18 or straight out of college or wherever, starting a new endeavor in life, they can actually have a conversation with us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Anything else that you're thinking about or that you need help with?
Anything I need help with? Yeah, same thing with budgeting.
Mhm.
As you guys know, I'm a very impulsive spender.
Same.
When I see a new golf club, I'm
How's
like,
that? I was gonna say, how's that
"Whoa."
new 3-wood working?
Dude, it is stressful. That is, I honestly wanted to chuck
The
it.
first few swings were a little choppy, but
Yeah.
you got the hang of it. Now it's
Yeah,
fucking
now I got
launching.
it. Yeah, now I got it down. But like when I was first trying it, I was like, why the fuck did I buy this?
Yeah.
I was ready to break it. That was the worst $360 investment. It wasn't even an investment.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
like
a toy.
Is the golfing a part of this at all? Like I know we golfed a couple times.
Yeah.
Are there any golf goals?
Okay, I have a tangent on this actually.
Yeah, go for it.
Speaking of golf, you can use golf. This is something I've asked other people too, because this is how I'm wired.
Yeah.
Is a hobby like golf is a hobby something that you should prioritize and focus on to where you get pretty damn good at it? I'm not saying obviously you're not going pro,
Yeah.
but I'm saying if it's a true hobby, is it something you just go out and you shank for the next 10 years and maybe have like, I don't know, 10 good rounds where you parred?
Yeah.
Or is it something where your handicap is now like in the 70s?
I want to use Joe Rogan as like an example because like everything he picks up, he obsesses about until he does a really, really good job at it.
Mhm.
I think I'm similar in that way.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to just do it. I want to get good at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's not fun. So it's like I want to
Mhm.
really work on perfecting the skill and like improving as much as possible. And I think all that stuff translates to life too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might just seem like fun and games, but it's a chance for us to socialize and go out and do something. But it's also a chance to like expand and challenge ourselves in something that we're maybe not super adequate at.
Yeah. I think that's like thing for me too is I was always like a decent athlete, but I was never really like great at it. Like I was good at wrestling, but I wasn't great. I was a good football player, but I wasn't great.
Mhm.
Like from a private school standpoint, like I was ass because literally 2 guys ahead of me were D1.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if I went to a public school, I definitely would have started, but I was just good. It was
Yeah.
all right. But that's where like something like I want to obsess with, like with golf. Like I want to be really freaking good at it to where I'm like, okay, I can bet like, hey, $20 I can hit this.
Yeah.
$15 I can hit this 30-yard putt. Like I want to be that good.
But also we kind of hold ourselves to the standard of what we want to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we like criticize ourselves so much for being where we are right now.
Yeah,
Even though
yeah.
we haven't put the time in.
Right.
It's like I get so upset when I shank a ball. I'm like, bro, you've gone golfing twice in 2 years. Like, why are you getting so upset?
Yeah.
And like we catch ourselves like, what the fuck am I getting so upset at this? Like just
Oh yeah.
try to be better on the next swing and
Dude,
it'll be
when
okay.
we were like our last round, like I literally like I almost threw.
Well, he lost the last ball and he's like, I'm done. We'll just call it in.
yeah, I lost my
Austin's
last ball.
like, I'm shooting par right now. We
he was
can't stop.
close actually. Yeah.
No, Chris is actually giving me a lot of good pointers, even just on like foot position. And like, he's got a really good swing. He could grow into it and do pretty well with it.
I think it goes back to auditing. Having someone
Yeah.
else, because even like his, we talked about it the other day. I was like, hey, like I struggle with this too because
Yeah.
you get a broad back
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're almost shallow on the swing instead of
Right.
up
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
Golf tips 101.
And what's actually funny is I actually have a golf certification.
Oh,
So it's like I can actually coach golfers, but
You got
I
to stop
never
putting that stuff
applied it.
online.
Yeah, I know.
the application's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's another reason why, or a fun fact, one of the reasons I actually fully chose to be in Boise is because at Casey's,
Mm-hmm.
since he's a golfer,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, you can train a lot of golfers here, right? And so I got my golf certification along with my CSCS to actually work there.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because you did that
Yeah.
for a good while, like specifically coaching some golfers.
Yeah, yeah. I was at a country club, Crane Creek, shout out. I was there for a little over a year and I trained a lot of golfers, more so from a strength conditioning standpoint, not really actually like a golf pro.
Right.
Because clearly I'm not one. But I was doing their strength conditioning and they did really well and still have decent connections, but that's all the way out there. Obviously, they're not going to want
Yeah.
to drive 30 minutes over to here.
Yeah.
But that's like I want to get more into that realm because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I actually like golf. I prefer to watch it on TV over any other sport right now,
And it's
which is weird.
lucrative too.
Yeah.
I think we should talk about also like our collective goals. Like
Yeah.
we've thrown out some seminars and like how are we going to
Yeah.
hold ourselves accountable as a group?
Yeah.
Not
Well,
just
actually, let's
individually.
go with Matt's first because we
Yeah.
haven't got to you yet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I have
Sorry.
I have no goals.
Okay. Matt's just here.
I just, yeah. I would say accountability wise, for just, being trainers at the gym, I still have client spots to fill.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to do that. So just making sure I promote myself and whatnot. From my own business standpoint, that's slowly becoming more and more of a thing. And so over the next 6 months, I would say, because I have my first event in November.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting.
Spartan
And
race.
yeah, Spartan Trail Run. It's a half marathon. And right now I think I have anywhere from like 5 to 9 people going. So it just kind of puts stuff on me to obviously make sure I have apparel and everything ready for them. Make sure I
Yeah.
have like whatever we're going to do after the event, like start planning that event in November. But even before then, to get word out about it. And for anyone that doesn't know on here, it's called 1% Athletics, WON. It's about hybrid training for an event. We have 4 events per year.
Yeah.
that I'm going to do personally, and I want to make accessible as I build my brand to
Totally.
the people who are either training with me or just want something to train for. Because I
Mhm.
want it to be like, in high school, middle school, college, you practiced for something, and I think the gym should be the same way. But I don't think it should be you necessarily have to do something big like an Ironman or something that just takes your time. But
Right.
even going back to the hobby thing, I think you should try to strive for something.
Yeah.
But anyways, so just getting the brand awareness out, I'm starting to hit up. For example, something local. I'm going to have a booth at CUNA Days, just to see
Nice.
how it goes, kind of experimental. But I'm going to start hitting up these events in the local Pacific Northwest and
Smart.
whatnot, and set up shop and just start promoting it, see what happens. And again, failing forward.
Yeah, I think that's a smart approach to it. People want community.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people don't even have to strive to be doing really well at these races, but they want to be a part of something and have a reason to do something.
Yeah.
And I think you create a really good, a unique market. I don't
Right.
know anybody else that's doing that out here.
I think people are doing it online, but again, they just do things. They're like, hey, you don't have to be as extreme as I am.
Yeah.
But it's like, but you're extreme, so I want to be like you. So I'm going to go do
Be a
something
part of it.
extreme.
Yeah.
And I think you just eliminate, 80% of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for example, when we were at Lindsay's triathlon, not that this was bad, but it was like she was done for an hour and people from her race
Yeah.
were then just running in.
Yeah.
And my thought was like, I know they finished and they feel proud and they
But
probably
did-
trained their butt off,
Yeah.
but they could benefit from something like, hey, we're just going to do a little bit of training
Right.
Yeah.
so that
Prepare
you can,
for this.
Yeah, so that you're ready
Yeah.
and you feel good after instead of
Yeah.
like literally
Yeah.
dragging your legs.
Yeah. With these people committed to the event, are you going to incorporate like a Saturday get together and like do some workouts leading up to the event? I think you should do something like that.
I think for the people here,
Yeah.
some of them who might do it are my clients, a couple of them.
Yeah.
Other people are located in other locations. Like my
Okay.
parents might even do it. So it'll
Yeah.
be more of an online basis, which is
Okay.
why I want them to show up and then have like, hey, we're going to go to X restaurant or brewery or whatever after.
Are you
Nice.
do you have a
Celebrate.
segue tied to that link where it's like online programming options or like,
That's kind of the back
templates?
end that's getting built right now.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for some information on like website development and obviously like the text and emails.
click
that
link
go
for your
with it.
program?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at this point, for the next couple months at least, it's more figuring out exactly what it is, because that's part of it. I mean, I know what it is, but putting that into maybe, writing
Yeah.
and start to, create that through technology and whatnot and promote
Mhm.
that, which I've started. And then B, getting information from people just so you can start sending out, hey, like we're running this, and then it's going out to X amount of people. So
Yeah.
that people
Yeah.
know. So
I think
That's
it's
dope.
smart. I think it's going to do really
Yeah.
well.
It's like brings like a sense of community too,
Yeah.
whether from like a local level and also just
yeah.
wherever in the U.S.
Yeah, like this one's in San Luis Obispo, and I think it'd be cool eventually when it catches on that people who live there, it's like, hey, we're all going to be there.
Yeah.
Like you can run the race and you can beat me on the race. Like,
Right.
like either
Yeah.
it's like a
Yeah,
challenge.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah. You can
You
make
know?
it more like that, competition based.
So I foresee like the big outcome, but obviously it's just getting things rolling, and it's more responsibility on my part, which goes back to the routine because I have my responsibilities here.
Mhm.
So if I don't get up in the morning and have that 2 hours,
Yeah.
I don't get the work done. It's just extra at that point.
Yeah.
Like this isn't.
Well, then
there's
you're
no
catching
income
up
behind
on your run. You're catching
Right.
up on
it. Like I have to train for it. I have to be ready for
Yeah.
it because I'm one of the models behind the brand.
Right.
And then it's like, I don't know, it's all extra. So it's just
Yeah.
carving out the time for the extra.
I feel like there has been a shift since you committed to a specific race, though.
Yeah.
I feel like the race started the trickling effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. By the way, I just looked up a restaurant I went to in Slow. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Firestone? Firestone Grill? Yeah, you got
Firestone Grill.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm looking it up right here. Dude.
Firestone Grill.
Yeah. Oh, I miss
What
it. My
kind of
mouth
food is
warm.
it? Just
Barbecue.
Like, oh, nice.
Oh, we're
their,
going.
Their tri-tip is fire.
Okay.
Look at this. I'm trying to finish.
We got to tag them November 5th.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Dude, look at that.
Oh, yeah. It looks gnarly.
Probably some burn-ins brisket as well in there.
Mm-hmm.
Sound effects.
Love it.
So back to, okay, so we got everybody's kind of like
Individual.
individual emphasis right now. Like you guys are more aligned with kind of what you're foreseeing. I think I'm still kind of figuring out what to dial in on. I think I'm
Mhm.
still taking things at a day at a time. But again, collectively, what do we want to do from an educational standpoint, with it, whether it's seminars or continuing to grow through this podcast and maybe expanding in our own ventures as well.
I think what I would like to do is, because all three of us have unique ways of training,
Mm-hmm.
where we did a combination of it, where maybe it's like a one phase where it's like 8 weeks of this, then another phase it's 8 weeks of this, then another phase 8 weeks of that. Maybe it could go along with hybrid training, which I am kind of falling in right now. I'm loving
Yeah.
it. Shout out, Matt.
Yeah.
But I think that's like something would be really cool.
Yeah.
Is we did something collectively like that, because you get one mind's great, but obviously if we put all three of us together, dude,
And like we could do it, like you said, phases. We could have an endurance phase. We could have a strength phase. We could have a power phase.
Mhm.
So like we could all incorporate
yeah,
our input to each phase
Yeah.
and then make it a collective thing to sell or promote.
for sure.
Especially through here. And I think just collectively this, we talked about it the other day, is what is this, episode 5?
Six.
Six, dang.
And just not getting caught up in that. We
Yeah.
met the other day and we're not locked into anything, but I think we have the general idea, and it's just
Yeah.
showing up week in and week out.
And none of us have
and-
not shown up to this.
Yeah.
We committed to this and we've been doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And we want to do
That
it for
says a
a
lot.
And we
long
still
time.
do our meetings too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, last week we did have like a little bit of like a slip up of not meeting, but like we
Which I
made
think
sure.
did like take me off of like
It did.
motivation for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did. It's amazing what one miss does.
Yeah. I think that's where like the three of us having that accountability for each other is really
Yeah.
great.
And I think you've taken the reins on like making sure we're gathering.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes I'm like in shut off mode and I'm like,
Well, Thursday, it's so we have it on Thursday. And it's like,
yeah, I'm dragging from the week and it's
Mhm.
like, okay, Matt's keeping this thing rolling. So we're continuing to meet and Chris
Yeah.
also. And it's like, okay, I'm glad you guys are holding this accountable because
Yeah.
I want it to do well and I want it to continue to grow too.
Yeah.
mhm. So I think that, I mean, obviously not filling our cups too full, just keeping it. I think we got some good things rolling. So
Yeah.
We do.
I feel like the biggest accountability for us collectively would be narrowing down on, instead of being like, oh, I got XYZ idea. It's like,
Totally.
how about how about
Dial it in.
you focus on that, and
Yeah.
then together maybe it's just this for now, and
Yeah.
make it great.
And I
instead
think
of-
we
Yeah.
should, that should be our emphasis for right now. It's just like dial in,
Mhm.
align, and
Yeah.
dial in. Let's focus on specific things
For sure.
and measure progress.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Right on.
That was legit.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to our internal podcast here at Moderately Successful. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Follow us on Instagram as well. And I'm going to have that TikTok up soon. Don't you worry.